We regret that we cannot disclose the name and location of the university. So let's begin the story with that note. A group of university students, along with several of their teachers, had organized a camping trip. The plan was quite exciting. They would reach a remote natural location early in the morning on the designated day, spend the entire day engaging in various outdoor activities, and at night, gather around a campfire for storytelling, conversations, and a shared meal. After spending 2 more days there, they would return to their regular lives. For the camping trip, they had chosen Blackstone Territorial Park, located in the Northwest Territories of Canada. A vast, tree-covered, quiet, and somewhat mysterious place. According to plan, they arrived there on the scheduled day. After spending the entire day hiking along rugged trails, playing games, and participating in different activities, evening slowly turned into night, and the real gathering began. As darkness deepened, the campfire was lit. The flickering flames pushed back the surrounding darkness just enough, and everyone gathered around it in a circle. After dinner, the conversations began. Some were singing, some were laughing, others were immersed in storytelling. Before long, they split into smaller groups. In that isolated, forest-covered environment, the night felt deeper, heavier, and unusually quiet. Hasten was sitting to one side with a few of his classmates, talking about various topics. In the middle of their conversation, one of their Canadian classmates suddenly brought up a paranormal topic. He started wondering what it would feel like if, at that very moment, in such a dark and isolated place, something supernatural actually happened to them. That single thought sparked curiosity and an eerie thrill among them. The silence of the surroundings, the whispering sound of the wind through the trees, everything suddenly began to feel different. Just then, another Canadian student named Ethan spoke up. "I know something. Something that, if you hear it, you won't be able to sleep tonight, or even for the next 2 nights." His words made everyone fall silent. In the glow of the fire, curiosity mixed with a hint of fear could be seen in their eyes. Some tried to laugh it off, but deep down, everyone wanted to hear it. At first, Ethan hesitated. He said, "I'm not sure if I should tell you this. It's really terrifying." But Hasten and the others insisted again and again. Eventually, Ethan agreed. By then, the night had grown much deeper. A clear sky stretched above them, distant sounds echoed faintly, and an overwhelming silence surrounded everything. In that atmosphere, Ethan finally began his story. Ethan and his family are originally from Montreal, Canada. Although after getting admitted to university he now has to stay in a hostel, their ancestral home is still in Montreal. Ethan's father, Mr. Jonathan, is a high-ranking government official there. Since childhood, Ethan has grown up in their Montreal house. From a young age, Ethan noticed that his family had the closest relationship with a neighboring family. The head of that family was Mr. Oliver. Mr. Oliver had 2 children. His elder son's name was Arthur. Arthur was quite a bit older than Ethan. Since childhood, Ethan had seen that Arthur was physically and mentally disabled. Arthur could not speak clearly and was unable to move around without assistance. Mr. Oliver used to say that after birth, Arthur was completely normal like any other child. But as he grew older, he developed a severe illness that caused his condition. Ethan never had any close relationship with Arthur. Sometimes at night, when they heard shouting and screaming from the neighboring house and went to check, they would find that Arthur had temporarily lost mental stability and was behaving abnormally, which often led to conflicts within their family. Because of all this, Ethan was somewhat afraid of Arthur. However, Mr. Oliver's younger daughter, Emily, who was several years younger than Ethan, had a very good friendship with him. Ethan, Emily, and other children from nearby houses used to play together regularly. Since Ethan's father, Mr. Jonathan, had a good relationship with Mr. Oliver, their families visited each other frequently. Ethan's mother also had a very good relationship with Emily's mother. Later, when Ethan was studying in secondary school and Emily was in primary school, Emily suddenly became seriously ill. At first, she was given primary treatment at home for a few days, but then she was taken to special care. There, it was discovered that Emily was suffering from severe anemia, which had appeared suddenly. One day, Ethan went with his parents to visit Emily. At that time, not much could really be done considering the situation. Perhaps Mr. Jonathan could have done more, but surrounding circumstances were also a factor. Anyway, seeing Emily, Ethan was shocked. Her face and hands had turned extremely pale. Emily's father, Mr. Oliver, said that they had left no effort undone. They had conducted every possible test and examination, but no cause of the problem could be found. All possible treatments had been applied by the doctors, yet nothing was working. Emily had even been given blood transfusions several times, but there was no improvement. After that, Ethan and his family returned home. Seeing Emily in that condition made Ethan very sad. 3 to 4 days later, one morning Ethan heard that Emily had been brought back home. Hearing this, he quickly went with his mother to see her. There, he saw Emily lying silently on the bed like a lifeless person. Her entire body looked even more pale than before. At that time, Emily's mother told Ethan's mother that the doctors had said since there was no improvement in special care, she should be treated at home. They were also worried about Emily's younger brother, whether her condition would have any psychological impact on him, or whether he might cause any problems for her. Considering all these factors, they thought it might be better to bring her home for treatment. In fact, while explaining that the doctors had almost given up, Emily's mother broke down in tears. That evening, when Ethan's father returned from the office, Mr. Oliver came to meet him. After speaking to him in a low voice about something, Ethan's father told Ethan to go to the next room and study or do something else. Ethan understood that they were going to discuss something they didn't want him to hear. He assumed they would talk about Emily. He began to worry that perhaps Emily had some serious illness that the adults did not want to mention in front of him. Even Ethan's mother came and sternly told him to go to the other room. Although Ethan pretended to go, he quietly hid behind a wall and tried to listen to their conversation. He thought that if he could somehow learn something about Emily's condition, maybe he could help her in some way, even though, realistically, at his age, there was very little he could do. Anyway, with that thought, Ethan began secretly listening. Since he was only a secondary school student at the time, his thoughts were just like those of a typical teenager. Mr. Oliver then began talking about his childhood. He spoke about a significant part of his early life. His childhood had also been spent in Montreal. It is worth mentioning that Ethan's grandfather had bought their Montreal house later in life. Before that, they lived elsewhere, but Mr. Oliver's family had been living in Montreal for generations. Mr. Oliver continued, saying that during his childhood, their house was not in very good condition, although it was acceptable for that time. During his teenage years, Oliver developed a strong interest in occultism and paranormal subjects. The main reason behind this was actually an incident that he himself had directly witnessed, which created a deep and intense interest in such matters within him. When Oliver was a teenager, in their area, a very expensive item was mysteriously stolen from an aristocratic family's house. Even after extensive searching, the item could not be found. Although the police were informed, they could not find any clue as to how the item had been stolen. At that time, there was a man in their area named Lucas, who was known for his strange activities. Lucas claimed that he could accomplish many impossible tasks through his supernatural powers. Not only did he claim this, but he had reportedly demonstrated such things multiple times. When all efforts, including police investigation and detective work, failed to uncover any clue about the theft, the aristocratic family contacted Lucas. Lucas came to their house. Many people suspected that Lucas was actually a black magician. There were also rumors in the area that he worshipped the devil, which is why most people did not like him. Lucas operated in such a way that there was no solid evidence against him. Otherwise, he would have been driven out of the area long ago. However, since the stolen item was extremely important to that family, they decided not to think too much and told Lucas that if he could help recover the stolen item, they would reward him with a significant amount of money. Lucas demanded a large sum of dollars and said that he must be paid before starting the work. Money first, then the job. At first, the family refused to pay him in advance because Lucas had suddenly appeared in the area and was not a local. Sometimes he would disappear for days without anyone knowing where he went. But Lucas insisted on the same condition, payment first. When the family told him that he often disappeared and might not return after taking the money, Lucas replied that he would perform his ritual right there after receiving the money. He confidently assured them that he himself would arrange for the return of the stolen item. He even said that the thief would come forward on their own and return the item. If that did not happen, he promised to return double the amount of money he was being paid, right there on the spot. Hearing such confidence, the family agreed. Lucas then fixed a specific day to come and told them to keep the money ready. Now, Oliver had a very good friendship with two brothers of that family who were of his age. One day while playing, when the two brothers told Oliver about everything and mentioned that Lucas would come to their house next week to find the stolen item, Oliver requested them to allow him to be present at that time because he was very curious to see how Lucas would find the item. The two brothers told him there would be no problem and that their elders would not refuse. A few days later, they informed Oliver that Lucas would come that very evening. After finishing their play in the afternoon, Oliver went with them to their house. Since permission had been granted, Oliver stayed there. As evening fell, Lucas arrived. As soon as he entered, he asked for the money first according to the agreement. The family handed him bundles of dollars. Lucas had brought a black leather bag with him. Although he initially tried to put the money inside the bag, for some reason he stopped and instead placed the bundles on the table. Then Lucas asked that all members of the household be called there. Within a few minutes, all family members and employees gathered in the room. Lucas then said that he knew the thief was among those present. He said he would give the culprit a chance. He would count backwards from 13 to 1, and within that time, the guilty person must confess and promise to return the item. He also said that he knew the item was not currently in the house. If the guilty person did not confess within that time, the consequences would be terrible, and he would not be responsible for what would happen next. Then Lucas began counting backwards 13, 12, 11, 10 until he reached 1. But no one confessed. Lucas then said that he had given a chance, but the guilty person had forced him to take further action. Saying this, he opened the zipper of his black leather bag and put his hand inside. However, he did not take anything out. Instead, he seemed to be doing something inside the bag, as if moving his hand around. Everyone present felt that he was pressing and breaking something inside the bag, something that sounded like dry wood cracking, making cracking sounds. As soon as he started this, one of the household workers, a middle-aged man who had been working there for a few months, suddenly began to scream. It appeared as if an invisible force was dragging him toward the wall. He resisted, but he was being pulled with great force. Suddenly, in front of everyone, he was thrown across the room and slammed against the wall by an unseen force. Then he was lifted again and repeatedly slammed headfirst against the wall. Within moments, his head began to bleed due to the repeated impact, and he screamed in intense pain. Everyone present was terrified by the suddenness of the. Oliver and his two friends were also extremely frightened and started screaming. At that moment, Lucas shouted at the man, asking whether he would now confess the truth or be killed. His voice sounded so cruel and terrifying that it felt as if the devil himself was speaking through him. Meanwhile, Lucas still kept his hand inside the bag, continuing that cracking motion. As the horrifying event continued, the man, writhing in pain, finally confessed that he had committed the theft and begged Lucas, invoking God to spare him. The family members, witnessing the terrifying situation, pleaded with Lucas to stop since the man had confessed. Then Lucas took his hand out of the bag, and the cracking sounds stopped immediately. As soon as Lucas removed his hand, it seemed as if the invisible force threw the man to the ground. The people present quickly carried him to another room. The family members had never imagined that Lucas practiced something so terrifying. Lucas then told them to find out from the man where he had hidden the item, how he had stolen it, and with whom he had kept it. After that, Lucas put the bundles of dollars into his leather bag and warned them not to discuss what had happened with anyone outside. Then he left the house. Later, it was revealed that the man had cleverly stolen the valuable item and hidden it several miles away at a relative's place. The police had found no clue due to the cleverness of the act. Eventually, with administrative help, the item was recovered. At the end of that year, Lucas mysteriously disappeared from the area. He had been living in a rented house, which remained locked for a long time. When the landlord finally broke open the lock, they found the house completely empty. Not even a piece of paper inside. Everyone was shocked. If Lucas had moved out, someone would have seen him taking his belongings. But no one had seen anything, and he was never seen in that area again. Mr. Oliver continued, saying that this strange incident, which he had witnessed in his teenage years, deeply inspired him. His interest in occultism and supernatural subjects increased 100-fold after witnessing it with his own eyes. He began to think that if he had powers like Lucas, how much he could accomplish. After witnessing this incident, he began to spend his time researching and gaining knowledge about these subjects. Time passed in this way. After saying up to this point, Mr. Oliver paused for a moment. Then, letting out a deep sigh, he said to Ethan's father, Mr. Jonathan, "I have come to you seeking help. If I had stopped at just what I have told you so far, then today my children would not have been in such a tragic condition." Hearing this, Ethan's father, Mr. Jonathan, replied, "Please tell us everything without hesitation. We have had a long-standing family relationship with you. If there is even the smallest way I can help, I will certainly try to do so." Hearing these words from Ethan's father, Mr. Oliver's eyes became teary for a moment. He composed himself and began to speak again. "It was around 1988. I had just entered my youth. Around that time, I started working a small job. From the age of 19, I worked in various kinds of jobs, but I never found mental peace in any of them. From a young age, I always searched for a way to achieve great success with minimal effort. Even in the middle of my busy work schedule, I continued to explore occultism and supernatural subjects. Because I regularly kept myself engaged in these matters, I had already become acquainted with several individuals who practiced such things. I even had the opportunity to witness some of their astonishing activities. Whenever I was alone at night thinking about these topics, I would remember the terrifying power of that magician Lucas, which I had seen with my own eyes during my teenage years. Thinking about these things over and over again, at one point a strong desire grew within me, that no matter what, I too would gain such supernatural power. I knew that with such power, a person could achieve success very quickly with little effort. Living a luxurious life had always been my dream. I had seen how Lucas earned a large amount of money in just a short time. That amount of money could have been the result of a lifetime of hard work for someone like me, yet he achieved it in just a few minutes. After thinking deeply about all this, I decided to leave the job I was doing at that time. It was taking too much of my time, and I had no free time to pursue my thoughts and plans. So I made the decision to quit that job. According to that plan, I left the job and took another one where I only had to work half the day. This arrangement worked well for me. I could earn money and also have enough time to focus on my goal. What I used to do was share my interest in occultism and supernatural subjects with the people I became close to at work. At my new workplace, within a short time, I became well acquainted with a local boy named Jacob. One day, while talking casually, I told Jacob about my interests. Since I had already made a firm decision, I asked him, "Do you know anyone who practices this kind of magic, occultism, or supernatural things?" Jacob replied, "Look, these things are not something to think about normally, and they are not normal at all. Personally, I didn't believe much in such matters either. But I have a friend named Martin. Just a few months ago, he used to work in a factory and earned very little. Now he doesn't do any job at all. Yet he is living a comfortable life." Hearing this from Jacob made me very curious. I requested him to explain further. Jacob said, "To be honest, I don't know much about it myself. But since you were so interested, I'll tell you what I know. This boy is a very old friend of mine. He used to work in a factory in Old Montreal, and the salary he earned was not enough for him to live properly. At one point, due to his elderly father's illness, he fell into severe financial trouble and even borrowed some money from me. I knew that it wouldn't be possible for him to repay me anytime soon, but since he was a very old friend of mine, I had already given him the dollars without expecting to get them back. That day, when he borrowed the money from me, he kept telling me again and again about his financial hardship and the miserable situation he was going through. I reassured him and said, "Look, by the grace of Almighty God, everything will be all right very soon." Then, at the beginning of last month, the boy suddenly showed up at our place and met me. He had actually come specifically to see me. At first glance, I was very surprised to see him. He was standing there with a smiling face, dressed in expensive clothes, holding a box in his hand. I invited him inside and asked him how such an extraordinary change had happened in such a short time, when just the other day he was going through such a difficult period. Martin told me that it was nothing special. He had actually come to return the dollars he had borrowed from me. And since I had helped him during his hard times, he had also brought some gifts for me. He handed me the box and asked me to open it. When I opened it, I found an envelope containing a good amount of dollars, along with several expensive gift items. I was truly astonished. Then I told Martin, "Many thanks to the Almighty, the most merciful God, who has blessed you." But hearing this, Martin gave a strange smile and said that he didn't have the time to wait for God's mercy to arrive. His father had been on his deathbed, and he himself had been struggling to survive, sometimes eating one meal and skipping another. Hearing such words from Martin shocked me even more. I told him, "If you have found some special way, then tell me as well, because my time is not going very well either." But Martin said that such things were not meant for me. Then he told me that he was currently involved with something in the western part of Montil, a place where many impossible things become possible. The people associated with it do not live by relying on the grace of God or their relatives and friends. Like Martin, they had chosen this path because they could no longer endure their hardships, and now all of them are living prosperous lives. Hearing all this from Martin felt very strange to me. You know, Oliver, that I am very devoted to my faith and regularly go to church. So I did not continue the conversation further. Martin thanked me again and left. After that, I have not seen him until now. Hearing all this from Jacob, Oliver was quite surprised. He had heard that some people in Montil were involved with various secret societies, hidden associations that perform secret rituals, but he had never known about any specific individual in such a detailed way before. Oliver then requested Jacob to introduce him to Martin. But Jacob replied, "Look, Oliver, as far as I understand, whatever Martin is involved in is not something good. We should all have faith in Almighty God. He will keep us well or test us, and in return we will receive something in the afterlife. But as far as I understand, those people do things through which they gain everything in this worldly life, with nothing left for the afterlife. That is why we should keep our faith in God." Jacob further added that he no longer saw any faith in God within Martin. He didn't know whether Martin truly had any belief in his heart or was just saying things outwardly. Hearing all this, Oliver tried to explain to Jacob that he had no intention of doing what Martin was doing. He was simply curious. If he could meet Martin and learn something from him, it would satisfy his curiosity. That's all. Even then, Jacob tried to dissuade Oliver. But after much insistence, Jacob finally said, "Considering Martin's current situation, I don't feel comfortable arranging a direct meeting so soon. Something about him doesn't feel right. But since you're insisting so much, I can give you his address. You can contact him on your own responsibility." Hearing this, Mr. Oliver said, "If I go alone, what if your friend Martin is not interested in talking to me?" Jacob replied, "Tell him about me. If necessary, I'll write you a letter, show it to him. If you mention my name, he won't refuse you. Maybe he won't tell you everything at first, but if you present your curiosity properly, I believe he might share some useful information with you." Anyway, after returning home that night, Oliver made up his mind that he would visit Martin's house on Sunday. He thought to himself that Martin was exactly the kind of person he had been searching for all this time. If he could somehow convince Martin and learn even a part of his secret of success, he would try his best to follow that path. Opportunities like this do not come again and again. If he missed this chance, he might regret it for the rest of his life. Thinking all this, Oliver fell asleep. A few days later, on Sunday morning, he set out for Martin's house using the address he had received from Jacob. Martin lived quite far from his place. By around noon, Oliver reached the exact address. It didn't take him much effort to find Martin's house. After finding Martin's house and standing in front of it, Oliver was quite surprised. According to Jacob, Martin had been going through extreme financial hardship just a few months ago. Yet, looking at the house, it was clear that it had recently been repainted. There had also been several external renovations, giving the house a sense of elegance and a noticeable shine of luxury. Entering the yard, Oliver knocked on the main door for quite some time, but no one responded. After a long while, an elderly woman slowly opened the door slightly and asked, "Who are you, and whom do you want?" Oliver introduced himself and said that he had come to meet Martin. The woman then asked if he was one of Martin's friends and how he knew him. Oliver mentioned Jacob and explained that he had come to discuss an important matter with Martin. Hearing about Oliver's connection with Jacob, the woman said that she was Martin's mother. Jacob had been a very old friend of Martin, and since he had helped them during their difficult times, she knew him very well and had a very good opinion about him. Martin's mother also mentioned that Martin had returned home late the previous night, and she needed to check whether he had woken up yet. She then invited Oliver inside and asked him to sit on a sofa. She added that Martin had warned her many times not to let any strangers into the house. But since Oliver was Jacob's friend, she hoped he was a well-wisher. Saying this, she went inside to call Martin. Sitting on the sofa, Oliver looked around in amazement. The furniture was quite expensive, and it was obvious that they had not been purchased long ago. Although he had heard a bit about Martin's current situation from Jacob, seeing everything with his own eyes made him wonder whether such rapid transformation was even possible without some kind of supernatural success. It seemed impossible. Surely some extraordinary or unnatural help must have been involved. After waiting for about 15 to 20 minutes, a young man came and sat in front of Oliver. From his appearance, Oliver guessed that the young man was around his own age. The man said, "I am Martin. Tell me, how can I help you?" His voice made it clear that he had just woken up. Oliver then explained his friendship with Jacob, mentioned that Jacob was a close colleague of his, and described the real reason he had come to meet Martin. After listening to Oliver, Martin asked, "Since when have you been interested in these matters, Mr. Oliver?" Oliver replied that since childhood, he had felt a strange attraction toward magic, occultism, and supernatural subjects. He also mentioned the incident involving Lucas from his teenage years, explaining that it had further strengthened his curiosity. Hearing this, Martin remained silent for a while. By then, he had fully shaken off his drowsiness. After thinking for a moment, he said, "Look, Oliver, the subject you have come to ask me about is not merely something for knowledge or research. I cannot tell you much about it. Whatever little I know, I can only share with those who are directly involved in it. However, I can tell you this much for now: it is not something limited to learning or knowing. It is a practice, and it is certainly not something ordinary, as you may have already realized." He continued, "I am only telling you this much because, from your words, you seem like a suitable person for such matters. Otherwise, I do not discuss these things with anyone, not even a single word. As you can understand, I haven't even shared much with my friend Jacob." Oliver then repeatedly requested Martin to tell him more, but Martin refused. Oliver realized that Martin would not reveal anything this way. So, in order to convince him, Oliver falsely claimed that he was currently in severe financial trouble. He said that despite his efforts, he had not been able to overcome his financial difficulties, and if Martin did not help him now, he might soon be left with no choice but to become destitute. After listening for a while, Martin seemed somewhat convinced. He then said, "Look, Oliver, I already told you that this is a practice. So if you are willing to make an initial commitment to become directly involved in it, I might try to help you. Since you are also a friend of Jacob, who helped me the most during my worst days, I would like to help you in your difficult time as well. Now think carefully and tell me what you want to do." Oliver thought to himself that if he said anything negative now, Martin might withdraw. So he gave a preliminary agreement. Martin then asked if Oliver was free the next evening, Monday evening. When Oliver replied that he was, Martin said, "Then please come here tomorrow evening. I will take you to meet someone. You can tell that person everything you have told me. To be honest, I haven't been involved in this for very long, so I don't have the authority to directly recommend you.